Sister Evelyn Fitzke. I am a sister of Notre de Namur, originally from the East Coast, but now I live in Ohio. And I'd like to take this opportunity to talk to you a little bit about some questions that we sometimes get about religious life. For example, I've been asked, what is the best part of religious life? Well, it's different for different people, but let me answer for myself. I think the best part of religious life is being part of a discerning community. And by that I mean a community that helps you make your best choices and live your best self, even when you don't really have the energy for it. So it's really important to find a group, a community that has the same values you do, something that inspires them, that really ignites a fire in you. So for the Sisters of Notre de Namur, it is proclaiming God's goodness to the poor in the most abandoned places. How did I come to know that? Well, I was a Peace Corps volunteer right after college, and I had a chance to be involved in healthcare in a developing country. And that just captured my heart. I knew that when I returned to the U.S., I was going to have to find a group of people with whom I could live this dream for the rest of my life. And that's kind of where it began. So, all of us, Sisters of Notre de Namur, we define our big driving force, I would say, in this same way. And so when it comes time for you to decide what you want to do, like maybe for the next 5 years, or what course of studies you might like to pursue, they help you. I rely on them very strongly. It's so easy to get sidetracked and be pulled off on a tangent. But they help you be faithful, even, as I say, in those moments when you don't really have the energy, or maybe you just don't even see what God might be calling you to. They keep you faithful to your basic passion. It's the same for those periods of dryness in prayer, which hit all life. You know, everybody has them. Periods of your life where it's just so impossible to pray. Well, the community carries me through. Sometimes it's just deciding that I will join the sisters for morning prayer, for evening prayer, and say to God, you know what I'm feeling inside, and this is the best I can do right now. That is a real gift. I so appreciate that. I also know they always have my back, and that also helps me be true to what really inspires me. Because if there were certain, well, let's take, for example, financial considerations or retirement or something, it's different when you look at it as part of being a member of a religious community. Not that we don't have those worries, but it's not the same thing. I don't feel out there alone. I don't ever feel like I might end up on a park bench alone somewhere. I know at least some of my sisters will be in the same situation. And the fourth thing is the final one. They also help you to recognize your gifts, things you might not even have known about yourself. And that is something for which I'm really grateful. So that for me is the best thing about being a part of a religious community. A second question we get often that I always like to answer is, do sisters have friends? Absolutely yes. I can't imagine anyone's life being happy and fulfilling if you don't have friends. Yes, some of my closest, dearest friends are other Sisters of Notre Dame. But that's not enough. You need a wide variety of people, men, women, younger, older, to have a balanced life. Some of my closest friends are my college friends from all those many years ago. We still get together every year. When I'm in the U.S., so I'm not out of the country, I spend maybe 2 weeks at a friend's house with her husband and kids, and other college friends come and stay with us. And I look forward to that. It is so important. It keeps you real. It keeps you balanced. Otherwise, you kind of have this very artificial view of things. So I really, really count on my friends a great deal. And finally, I've often been asked, can I recommend a book? Well, my all-time favorite book, and I was thinking about this again last night as I was jotting down a few points here. The author is Joan Chittister. She's a Benedictine nun. And the book is The Fire in These Ashes, A Spirituality of Contemporary Religious Life. Well, I had to smile at that title last night when I looked at this because the book was published in 1995. So 25 years old, that's hardly contemporary anymore. But her reflections are still very valid. That is one that I would strongly recommend. More important than reading a book, though, I think if you are considering religious life, what I found really helpful is opening yourself up to as many different kinds of experiences as you can. If you think maybe a teaching congregation is what would really suit you, well, even as a volunteer, try teaching for a while and see if that really ignites the passion in you. Or is it health care? Or is it community organizing among the poor? Find what it is that ignites your passion. And there's so many ways of creating these opportunities. There's a Jesuit volunteer corps. We Sisters of Notre Dame de Namur have the volunteer mission program where you work where the sisters are, you get to know them, you see the kinds of things that they do, what they're engaged in, and that can help you decide, like, is this a life that I would want for myself? Can I see myself doing this? I think it's one of the books that influenced me greatly was when I was probably about 12 or 13. The author was Dag Hammarskjöld. He was the Secretary of the United Nations way back when, at a point where there was a lot of turmoil in Africa because many of the countries had been colonies and they were engaged in wars for freedom. He was killed at that point in an airplane crash. I don't know that it was ever determined whether it was an accident or whether it was brought down by fire, shooting from the ground. But he wrote a book called Markings, and it wasn't even intended to be published. It was a book that was on his nightstand, and every night he would jot down a few thoughts. And after his death, it was published. And I remember reading this comment by him. He said, "When you're born, everyone around you is happy and smiling, except you, and you are crying your heart out. Live your life so that when you die and everyone around you is crying, you can still smile." And so what I took from that all those many years ago was, when you decide what you want to do with your life, think about at the end of your life, what would you want to look back and say, I was able to do this. Maybe I was the mother of wonderful children who became responsible and caring adults. What an accomplishment. Maybe I worked in healthcare and I made a vast difference in the lives of the people I cared for. Whatever it is, let that be your dream. Let that pull you forward. And finally, ask someone to accompany you. It's not the sort of thing that one can best do in isolation. It could be a religious, a priest or a sister. It can be a teacher whom you respect and have known. It can be even a family member, an older family member whom you know would listen to you and not try to steer you in a particular direction, who can listen to you and help you recognize what God might be calling you to. So those are my reflections, and thank you for the chance to share.